In this video, we are going to take a look at the moon phases and look at the order of the moon phases to see how the light on the moon changes with each phase. So before we begin to look at the moon phases, let us first remember the reason that we have moon phases is because the moon revolves around the Earth. The moon revolves or orbits. We said that means to go around. It moves around the Earth. And so remember, the light on the moon is not the moon making its own light. The reason the moon lights up is because we see the light from the sun lighting up the surface of the moon. So, there are 8 moon phases that are caused by us seeing different parts of the moon that's lit up as the moon revolves around the Earth. Let's look at each phase. The very first moon phase is what we call a new moon. This is the first moon phase. And in this case, the moon is entirely dark. Nothing is lit up. The second moon phase is what we call a waxing crescent. It's called this because the light starts to appear on the moon and it's kind of shaped like a crescent. Kind of like a croissant roll that you might eat. It kind of looks like a backwards C. Some people also call this a fingernail moon because it kind of looks like the top of your fingernail. The third moon phase is what we call a first quarter moon. So in a first quarter moon, half of the moon is lit up on the right side. The light keeps growing bigger and bigger, so we went from crescent to first quarter, where half of the moon is lit up. We can then go to the fourth position of the moon, which is what we call a waxing gibbous. In a waxing gibbous, more of the moon is lit up. Look at the first quarter in the last picture, position 3. Only half of the moon is lit up. In a waxing gibbous, almost all of the moon, maybe 3/4 of the moon, is lit up. Not the entire moon, but almost the entire moon is lit up in position 4. So what I want you to notice is that as we move from position 1 to position 2 to position 3 and to position 4, whenever the light is getting bigger, the light is always on the right side. The light is on the right side, and the light is getting bigger and bigger and bigger on the right side. Eventually, the light gets so big that the entire moon is lit up. We call this a full moon, and this is position 5 in the next row. In a full moon, the entire moon is lit up in the sky. We see the entire moon. Now that we had a full moon, no more of the moon can be lit up, and so it's time for the light to start going away. So after a full moon, the next position, the sixth position or sixth moon phase, is when the light starts to go away. We call this a waning gibbous. And in a waning gibbous, the darkness starts to show up. And we have a little bit of darkness coming in on the right side. Our next moon phase, remember, now we are increasing the amount of darkness. So the next moon phase will have even more darkness. With the darkness on the right side. So half of the moon is dark with the darkness on the right side. And this is what we call a third quarter moon. The very last moon phase, the eighth moon phase, is called a waning crescent. And that's because the darkness got even bigger so that there is only this small crescent shape of light left, and it's mostly back to being dark again. So the moon is mostly dark again, but there's still a little bit of light remaining. Now, after this, it's important to remember that the next thing that happens is that this whole cycle starts all over again. So after the waning crescent, the moon will start this cycle all over again, and we would go back to having a new moon with all darkness. The light would go away, and we would go back to having the next new moon with all darkness. So how long does it take for this cycle to complete? How long does it take to go through all 8 phases of the moon cycle and get back to the starting position, back to position 1? Well, it takes about 29.5 days. We can round this to 30 days. And you can remember this because it's about 1 month. About 1 month. So we have a full moon and a new moon every month. So if you start at a new moon, it will take 29.5 days to get back to the next new moon.